Welcome. Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission Professor Mahmood Yakubu says he's satisfied with the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System (BVAS). He supervised mock accreditation and voting exercise to assess the performance of the device ahead of the governorship election in July 16 in Osun State.
Less than 2 weeks to Osun governorship election, INEC is putting finishing touches to all arrangements for a hitch-free, credible election. The national chairman himself, who has since moved his office to Osogbo, the Osun State capital, personally in company of his principal officers, both local and national, supervised the mock accreditation across the 3 senatorial zones in the state. It takes less than 3 minutes to conclude the accreditation process per eligible voter, which includes submission of voter card, authentication of fingerprint and the face.
We don't want a situation where voters will go to the polling unit and be waiting for any petitions and materials. So we should go there long before the election so that we will wait for voters if they're there.
Osun State has seen that the new innovation is working and their votes will count.
While still moving round Osun Central,
so we'll rely on you, transportation arrangements, early movement of materials, liaison with the security, batching the materials, moving in good time. We must get this right.
The mock accreditation continues on Tuesday in designated centers across the 3 senatorial zones.
And just 2 weeks to the governorship contest in the state of Osun, the state of security before and on election day dominated a meeting between INEC and security agencies this week.
It is Saturday affair. Osun governorship election holding Saturday, July 16th. A preparatory meeting holding also on Saturday, July 2nd. But first, a post-mortem of some sort for the June 18th Ekiti governorship election. INEC and security agencies gave themselves a distinction in the exercise.
Security was well coordinated. The election was peaceful.
But bad outing for those traded on votes.
Vote buying remains a major area of concern. We are working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to ensure the prosecution of persons arrested in the Ekiti governorship election.
Back to Osun governorship election, the state is devoid of pre-election anxiety. I pray the tempo is sustained. INEC chairman Mahmood pleaded, but from the national security advisor to criminals, it's going to be fire for fire.
The NSC also urged excess members to build on the successes recorded from the Ekiti election, as some disgruntled politicians may attempt to sabotage the process.
Party primaries for 2023 general elections over, but the dust generated by the exercise still forming a toxic cloud. INEC records tell of 216 petitions already submitted, numbering 1,650,000 pages, requesting candidates' documents.
Nigerian elections, especially the conduct of primaries for nomination of candidates by political parties, is one of the most litigated in the world. Indeed, there are now far more cases challenging the breach of internal democracy within political parties than those involving the conduct of the main elections by INEC.
The release of those documents come with more job for the judiciary.
And on election security, retired U.S. Army Colonel Wisdom Osenwede says the nation must invest in special training for law enforcement officers ahead of the general elections to keep them a step ahead of those planning to foment trouble.
This is election year, which is very popular all over Nigeria, all over the world. First of all, what I would say is all hands have to be on deck. And all the security agencies in this country, they have to be playing, certain roles. There got to be a lot of training going on with the security agencies. They have to be very, very vigilant. They have to be out there to be seen, because when the security agencies, they are out there, they've been seen, and the criminals or those who wants to commit havoc or wants to cause problem will be scared to do so. So that is very, very important. And not only that, we have to employ HUMIT. HUMIT stands for Human Security or Human Intelligence. Also, they have to be there, providing security intelligence to the agencies who are out there, like the police, the military, the civil defense, all the paramilitaries. And one thing again, we have to involve the vigilante. We have to involve them. It's very, very important that we involve them, in every state or in every city, so that they can be able to. Security agencies have to mount security, to prevent any problems. All the security directors, they have to go in to conduct trainings. They have to come up with a strategic plan, for the elections. They have to coordinate. There has to be a lot of coordination between the state, where.
All right, that's Colonel Wisdom, retired Army Colonel from the United States, lending his voice to the call for the security apparatus, of course, and the architecture surrounding the elections. Now the stage is set, and most of the political parties say they are ready to convince the voting populace on the direction of state come 2023. While some may appear to be managing the backlash of picking the less popular option as running mate, some are still running hard to find a running mate. Honorable Nzechi Diduru, National Organizing Secretary of the ruling All Progressive Congress, joins us today. He's also joined by Architect Waziri Bulama, former National Secretary of the APC. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, let me start from the middle, because you are dressed different from us, so we'll start from you. What is the mood in camp? You saw INEC, you saw everybody getting ready from the perspective of the political party, and especially those driving the process in your party. What is the mood in camp ahead of the election?
Which of the elections?
The Osun, first of all, Osun governorship election, I beg your pardon.
I believe that the mood in the camp is very upbeat. APC is quite excited and cannot wait for next week, the date set for the primaries. The election in Osun State. In particular, coming at the back of the recent election that took place in Ekiti State, that the candidate of the party won resoundly in Ekiti State, and more importantly in Osun State. Of course, you know that the de facto person in the place is also the national secretary of our great party, Otumba Iyola Omishore. He's virtually located to Osun State to energize the base and ensure that the voter turnout is quite significant and huge on the date of the election. And also, as you have noted, the flag bearer of the party, that is our candidate, the presidential candidate of the party, also comes from that part of the world, the Southwest. And it is also expected that the people of the Southwest will also come out to vote and put their hand where their mouth is. So the mood is quite upbeat, and we believe that next week will be a resounding victory.
All right, that's every party has said this anyway, but we will see on decision day. Yeah. Let me come to Architect Waziri Bulama. You are a member of the National Advisory Council as well, but from an experienced politician's perspective, we are running towards a general election now. Yeah. And yes, this is an off-cycle election. We're looking at that as well. But how have you seen, the political space, the messaging, the kind of words that have been coming out on social media and all that, and then against the backdrop of some recent developments, for instance, in Enugu State, where it was a North local government area where INEC suffered such a huge loss in terms of infrastructure. The office burnt down. So many facilities also razed. If we can see some pictures from the INEC office out there in Enugu State. So, what will be your word to politicians at this time? Yes, the game is there, but should it be at this huge cost already?
Well, the act of lawlessness that we saw in Enugu State is clearly, an act of brigandage and is uncalled for. The general election is, very many months away. It's going to be February, March next year. So there's no reason really for any attack, on INEC, because INEC in the state is not in any place playing any role there, really. So it's act of crime, and I think that should be tackled. But on the whole, the preparations towards the general election on all fronts, on the part of the political party, on the part of INEC, on the part of security institutions, on the part of the populace, it's positive. You see, the beginning, for instance, with the political parties, we have conducted successful national convention to bring out a candidate, and we are now working. The candidate is consulting extensively and widely, vertically and horizontally, to ensure that a decision on the vice president is inclusive, just as the emergence of the candidate was also overwhelmingly supported by delegates and party members, so that we have a perfect team. And then that.
If I can jump in. Yeah. You are consulting horizontally and vertically, but
Yeah.
if I can just enter at the corner between the horizontal and the vertical.
The presidential candidate and the party are also conscious of the fact that there is need for extensive consultation of all the stakeholders and interest groups within the party, so that when we come up with a vice presidential candidate, he will match the candidate, and then we'll have a candidate that will add value to the main presidential candidate, and so that we'll have a positive campaign. So
let me come to the Deputy National Organizing Secretary. After the convention, they say yes, there will be consultations to heal the wounds. Have you brought out the plaster and everything? The wounds been healed now. Can we go forward?
Well, I think before I go into that, it's important again to go back to the question you asked about the process leading to the emergence of the vice presidential candidate to flag bearer. It is important from the party position to make it clear that the party have met the requirement of INEC in submitting the name of the flag bearer and his vice presidential candidate. And that is important. Every other consideration, whether there will be a withdrawal or is a matter of conjecture. And at the point we will get to that bridge, we cross it. Our flag bearer remains Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, and his vice presidential candidate is Alhaji Masari. And we've made the requirement of INEC. The names were duly submitted on June 17th, which is the deadline set by INEC. And then coming to the issue of healing the wounds and all of that, and His Excellency Bulama had also made the point that leading to the convention, there were a lot of stakeholder engagement. Processes were activated that spoke to all the stakeholders, that included National Advisory Council, including the myriads of candidates or aspirants that wanted to fly the flag of the party to be the presidential candidate of the party. And then thereafter, the various constituent groups, the governors, the Progressive Governors Forum, the members of the NWC, the critical stakeholders, the members of the National Working Committee of the party, the NEC of the party, and then the various stakeholders were also spoken to. At the end of the day, you will also see thereafter, it was a sense of relief that the party came out of that convention, which was ascribed and adjudged to be free, fair, peaceful, and transparent. And the candidate that emerged was a candidate that reflected the aspirations and the wishes of the delegates that came on that day to vote. So the natural process is now we're waiting for INEC to now blow the whistle for us to go out there and then campaign.
it seems as if, it's just about 3 months plus or 4 months now that the new ESCOs, the new National Working Committee was brought in. But you seem to have grown a few more grays between at that time and now. But we'll talk about that after the program. Akito Bulama, you're looking at this from, a veteran's perspective. You've been here.
Yeah.
We are moving towards elections now. What should politicians be thinking about? Because it seems to me as if we're just focused on 2023. Between now and 2023, a lot of things we can still do in terms of even, affecting the lives of Nigerians as well. I'm talking about even politics at the state level through the national, not just, focusing so much on elections.
Yeah, you see, for us, the process, going forward will be for the party and the presidential candidate, with the advice of course, other stakeholders, including the president, who has a lot of experience in managing, elections and processes, to come up with a campaign organization and the campaign team, and then campaign programs that will speak to the party members who are going to prosecute the campaign, and as well as the Nigerian public who are going to vote. A lot of things are at play. The situation is quite dynamic. We know the issues that would come to have a place, that will play out in the elections, that would influence voter perception and their activities. For instance, the voter awareness and assertiveness in the country is increasing. Their numbers, they're saying in huge numbers. There's an enormous influence of social media. We also know the concerns, for instance, of many non-partisan stakeholders of the Nigerian project: academia, labor, clergy, civil society, the professional groups. We know their concerns. So we are going to design, an issue-based campaign program that would address, the expectations, of Nigerians. For instance, I have an experience in the last 2019 elections where I was the Deputy Director General of the campaign. Our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, gave 4 standing instructions. As we were going into the, campaign, we designed an organization, campaign structure and organization, and people populated it, with all stakeholders all over, the country. But he gave 4 standing instructions. Number 1, he said that anybody in government caught bringing out huge monies for the campaign is on his own. Number 2, he said carry out decent issue-based campaign. Nobody should be insulted. There should be no muckraking. There should be no stone throwing. And he said the campaign should be decent, and we should present to Nigerians respectfully the achievements of the government from 2015 to 2019. The third thing he said was that the campaign should be secure. In fact, he instructed the security agencies to shoot anybody, that snatches ballot boxes. And then, of course, he went ahead to say that INEC is independent, the judiciary is independent, that there will be no executive interference. And finally, after we won the election, the president came to this campaign secretariat and addressed the campaign team. He thanked us, but he said, don't gloat, don't do buga. You understand? Because we won the election. We will go into this campaign also, with this kind of decent, issue-based, meaningful, engaging, team and program.
All right, I'll be perhaps if I comment, but I will let you do this one. There seems to be a cycle. Perhaps it's peculiar to Nigeria, I don't know. You do elections, you go to the podium, you do this organization and all that, you galvanize the people. You still save something for the courts. Why this?
I believe, listening to the INEC chairman, and he did say that in comparison between litigations after primaries and litigations after election, it will appear that the quantum have also sufficiently decreased after election, that perhaps the greatest challenge that INEC do have now is after primaries. And that, I believe, is also very significant. And the cure to it may not be a Nigerian factor, it could also potentially be a Nigerian factor. The cure to it, and I would like to wager, is the fact that the moment we begin to have free, fair, transparent, and peaceful elections, the agitation or the inclination to move from one court to another and to have the court make a pronouncement on who the winner of a particular election is will largely decrease. And I believe that we are gradually getting into that. If you look at what has happened in the last election before the one that we just did in Ekiti State, there's a sense of acceptance, general acceptance by the populace and the electorates in the given locality that the candidate that emerged as the winner of that election in Ekiti State reflected the wishes and aspirations of the electorate in Ekiti State. So people will reasonably be surprised if anybody goes to election thereafter, and we can always wager that this will be the position of the court with respect to that election. So the cure to that, assuming it's a Nigerian problem, is to ensure that we progressively begin to go towards conducting a free, fair, and transparent.
But if you maintain the habit, the lawyers are thanking you for it. You want to say one thing?
Yes, you see, one of the ways in which we can understand this issue of the litigations following primaries, where the chairman is saying is they are more in number than even general election, the litigations following general elections. You see, we have to understand that the democracy in Nigeria is still nascent, is still growing.
Even if
the bureaucracy of the parties, you understand, the bureaucracy of our parties is not very strong. Having been the national secretary, let me say this: the internal systems and processes and procedures in our parties is still not mature. That is why we support this with extensive consultation before and after processes. But we know that you see, as we move forward, the internal systems in the parties will be transparent, accountable, just, and fair, so that after primaries, for instance, everybody will know that the system worked and it treated him fine, and that there will be less cost to go to court.
All right, thank you very much for the program. Of course, it's been so short. I will have to bring you guys back, one after the other, because we have, we still have quite a while before the general elections. We will lean on your experience and, of course, get some facts also from the ruling party as we move ahead. We've had Akita Bulama, former secretary of the APC, who came also to speak with us, and, of course, Zaichidi Duru, deputy organizing and national secretary of the ruling APC, also here today. Of course, Oshun is right about the corner. Nigerian Television Authority will be there live and direct to give you every aspect of that election. And this is where you can trust for your news reviews, previews, and interviews. Africa's largest and finest. My name is Yusuf Ogunfui. It is the season. I always say, play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative, and interactive on national issues, accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The landscape of beauty pageantry in Nigeria is tainted with an unfortunate and heartbreaking reality. For the many women competing to wear different crowns, their talents and hard work in competition are often undermined by nepotism, stemming from tribe, ethnic group, their state of origin, religion, and influential affiliations. Even more disturbing than paid crowns and rigged pageants are reports of exploitation of these vulnerable young women, taken advantage of by predators, bartered by devious pageant organizers in exchange for sponsorship and other financial gain. On this very issue, our program has made it a point to highlight and celebrate the efforts of game changers, working hard to create a safe, fair, and empowering environment for these women. This season alone, we've covered the efforts of Devon Mom's Mocha Beauty Pageant, which seeks to redefine the restrictive beauty norms of Nigerian pageantry. Ruth Uja's Face of Rushina Foundation, which seeks to empower, mentor, and protect women venturing into pageantry. And today, we highlight the commendable efforts of a platform, ensuring that young women from across the country can compete in a safe and nurturing environment without fear of being exploited in any way. Stay with us to find out how Face of Arts Nigeria is restoring the prestige to pageantry, only on Today's Style. Making an impact is a running theme on today's episode, and our first guest is incorporating this noble ideology, using his platform to change the face of beauty pageantry in Nigeria. He's challenging the dangerous norms of this industry, replacing them instead with a focus on safety, ethics, and empowerment. Lawrence Okbe is the charismatic director of Black Giant Signature, a multimedia outlet behind the annual Face of Arts Nigeria Beauty Pageant and the African Giant Awards. For the last 4 years, the pageant and award show have been held in tandem, an always memorable evening of glitz, glamour, and entertainment. It's no wonder that the young mogul already has such a solid grasp on creating iconic moments. He's been doing this ever since his university days as a theater and performing arts student.
Face of Art started in Benue State University when I was the director of Social Theatre Arts Department. What we had then was Mr. and Miss Theatre. So when I became director of socials, I was like, what new thing can I bring into the system that will make impact? And then I thought of something that would bring the faculty of arts together. I want to see them under one umbrella, talk